Welcome back to the Ancestral Findings podcast. When you think of Jewish genealogy, Brazil might not be the first country that comes to mind. Yet, hidden within the layers of Brazil's diverse history is a rich Jewish heritage that dates back centuries. Whether your ancestors were Sephardic Jews fleeing the Inquisition or Ashkenazi Jews escaping persecution in Europe, Brazil has been home to Jewish communities for generations. Let's study this unique aspect of Brazilian Jewish genealogy and help you uncover your ancestors' stories. The Jewish presence in Brazil can be traced back to the early 16th century, when Portuguese Jews, known as Sephardim, sought refuge in the New World to escape the Inquisition. Many of these Jews were conversos or new Christians, Jews who had converted to Christianity under duress, but often continued to practice Judaism in secret. Brazil, then a Portuguese colony, became a new haven for these families, though they still faced persecution. In the 17th century, during the period of Dutch control in northeastern Brazil, particularly in Pernambuco, a more open and vibrant Jewish community emerged. The city of Recife became home to the first synagogue in the Americas, the Kahal Zur Israel Synagogue, which still stands today as a historical site. This period allowed Jews to openly practice their faith, and the community thrived until the Portuguese reconquered the region in 1654, forcing many Jews to flee to other parts of the Americas, including New Amsterdam, modern-day New York. In the 19th and early 20th centuries, a new wave of Jewish immigrants arrived in Brazil, primarily Ashkenazi Jews from Eastern Europe and Sephardic Jews from the Middle East and North Africa. These immigrants established thriving communities in cities like São Paulo, Rio de Janeiro, and Porto Alegre, contributing significantly to Brazil's cultural and economic life. If your ancestors were among the Sephardic Jews who settled in Brazil during the colonial period, your genealogical journey will involve piecing together fragments of history that have often been obscured by time and persecution. Here are some key resources and strategies for researching Sephardic Jewish ancestry in Brazil, Converso, and New Christian records. Many Sephardic Jews in Brazil were forced to convert to Christianity, leading to the creation of New Christian records. These records, often found in Catholic Church archives, can be a valuable resource. Look for baptismal, marriage, and burial records where Jewish customs might be subtly hinted at, or where family names suggest a Jewish origin. Inquisition records. The Portuguese Inquisition extended to Brazil, and records of trials and investigations can provide crucial information about Jewish ancestors. These records are held in Portuguese archives, but can be accessed through some Brazilian repositories or online databases. They often contain detailed personal information about those accused of practicing Judaism in secret. Synagogue and community records. Although many early Jewish communities in Brazil were secretive, some records have survived, particularly from the 17th century. The Kahal Zur Israel Synagogue in Recife, for example, has historical records that might provide clues about your ancestors. Additionally, local Jewish communities might have archives with marriage, birth, and death records. For those with Ashkenazi Jewish ancestry, Brazil offers a wealth of resources reflecting the waves of immigration from Eastern Europe in the late 19th and early 20th centuries. Here's how to approach your research. Immigration records. Brazil's immigration records are a key resource for tracing Ashkenazi Jewish ancestors. Many Jewish immigrants arrived through the ports of Rio de Janeiro and Santos. Passenger lists, naturalization papers, and other immigration documents can help you pinpoint when and where your ancestors arrived. Jewish cemeteries. Jewish cemeteries in Brazil are often well maintained and include detailed gravestones with Hebrew inscriptions. Visiting these cemeteries or accessing their records can provide birth and death dates, family relationships, and sometimes the names of towns or regions in Europe where your ancestors originated. Yizkor books and memorials. Yizkor books, or memorial books, were created by Jewish communities to remember those who perished in the Holocaust. Some Brazilian Jewish communities have their own Yizkor books, which might list relatives, friends, and neighbors who were part of your family's story. These books often include detailed narratives and photographs. Jewish newspapers and periodicals. The Jewish press in Brazil, particularly in Sao Paulo and Rio de Janeiro, played a significant role in the community. Historical Jewish newspapers often included announcements, obituaries, and community news that can provide insights into your ancestors' lives. Many of these newspapers have been digitized and are available online or through libraries. DNA testing can be a powerful tool in tracing your Jewish ancestry in Brazil, especially if traditional records are scarce or incomplete. Both Sephardic and Ashkenazi Jewish lineages can be traced through DNA, revealing connections to Jewish communities around the world. Here's what you might find. Sephardic Jewish markers. Many DNA testing companies can identify markers associated with Sephardic Jewish ancestry. This can be particularly useful if you suspect converso ancestry but lack documentary evidence. Ashkenazi Jewish connections. For those with Ashkenazi roots, DNA testing often reveals connections to other Jewish families worldwide. You may discover distant relatives in Europe, North America, or Israel who share your ancestry, haplogroups, and migration patterns. DNA results can also show your family's migration patterns, offering insights into the journey from the Old World to Brazil. This can help you understand how your ancestors moved and settled in different regions. As you gather records, stories, and DNA evidence, you'll begin to see your Brazilian Jewish family tree take shape. Here are some tips for building a comprehensive and accurate family tree. Document everything. Keep detailed notes on the sources of your information, whether from archives, interviews, or DNA results. This will help you verify your findings and share them with others. Collaborate with others. Jewish genealogy often involves connecting with distant relatives who may have additional information or family records. Online genealogy platforms like MyHeritage and Jenny are popular in the Jewish community and can help you collaborate. Respect cultural and religious sensitivities. When researching Jewish ancestry, it's important to be mindful of cultural and religious practices. Understanding Jewish customs, traditions, and naming conventions will help you interpret records more accurately and respectfully. Preserve your findings. Consider contributing your research to Jewish genealogical societies or archives, ensuring that your family's story is preserved for future generations. Recommended books for further reading. To dive deeper into Brazilian Jewish history and genealogy, here are 5 books that provide valuable insights. The Jewish Nation of the Caribbean by Mordecai Arbel. This book explores the Sephardic Jewish diaspora in the Caribbean and Brazil, focusing on the 17th century and the Jewish communities that thrived under Dutch rule. New Jews, The End of the Jewish Diaspora by Karen Aviv and David Schneer. This book discusses contemporary Jewish identities, including those in Brazil, offering a modern perspective on how Jewish communities have evolved and adapted. Brazil, Paradise of Gemstones by Renata Maia de Souza. While not specifically about Jewish genealogy, this book provides a historical overview of Brazil's immigrant communities, including the Jewish population and their contributions to Brazilian society. A History of Jews in Brazil, From Colonial Times to the Present, by Anita Novinsky. Anita Novinsky, a leading historian on the Inquisition and Jewish history in Brazil, provides a comprehensive account of Jewish life in Brazil from the colonial period to modern times. The Marrano Legacy, A Global History of Crypto-Jews, by Trudy Alexi. This book delves into the history of conversos or crypto-Jews, many of whom settled in Brazil. It offers a global perspective on this unique aspect of Jewish history, with references to the Brazilian experience. Exploring your Brazilian Jewish genealogy is a journey into the lives, cultures, and stories that have shaped your family over generations. It's an opportunity to understand the resilience, faith, and traditions that carried your ancestors across oceans and through centuries, ultimately influencing who you are today. As you study the records, memories, and DNA that make up your family's history, you're not just building a family tree, but uncovering the rich tapestry of Jewish life in Brazil. Whether your roots are Sephardic, Ashkenazi, or a blend of both, your research will reveal the depth and diversity of your heritage. Approach this journey with curiosity and respect. The stories you uncover will illuminate your past and deepen your connection to the broader history of Jewish communities in Brazil and beyond. Thanks for listening to the Ancestral Findings podcast. Be sure to visit ancestralfindings.com to download a free genealogy ebook, request a free genealogy lookup, and sign up for the weekly giveaway. I hope you have a wonderful day and happy searching.